The Sonic Boom TV show first aired in 2014 to tie in with the at-the-time new Sonic Boom games. It ran for 2 seasons and had over 100 episodes. So today, I'm going to rank and review every single episode of Sonic Boom to find out 2 things. 1. Does it still hold up nearly a decade after it ended? And 2. What's the best episode and what's the worst episode? So without further ado, let's get into it, starting with... Before we get into the main bulk of the episode, let's briefly talk about the intro. The intro's alright. The music's decent and the characters sure are there, I guess. But it always felt kinda choppy to me, which is apparently because it's actually a shortened version of the French intro. The music's better and the visuals feel a lot more complete and less choppy. But now let's actually get to the episode. The Sidekick starts off with Sonic and Tails in a fight with Eggman, but when Tails' plane crashes and he gets hurt, Sonic pushes him into retirement and tries to get a new sidekick, in which Tails and Eggman end up competing to be his sidekick. In the end, Tails is his sidekick again and Eggman is defeated. While the show does have action in it, one thing you'll notice when you're watching it is that its primary focus seems to be comedy.
You're gonna be able to play lots of golf and spend time with the grandkids!
I don't have grandkids!
Well, now's your chance to get some!
Which this episode does to varying degrees of success, as the writers probably hadn't gone fully into the rhythm of the show yet.
Oh, and under special skills you can add juggling and singing. Oh, and the Saints go marching in.
Also, I like how Tails' plane is blue and yellow like how it was in the GameCube era of Sonic. For the most part, the rendering and lighting look better in the first 2 episodes than the rest of the season, but Sonic doesn't have a neck in this shot, which looks pretty funny. Also, this episode has some great dynamic camera work during some of the action scenes, though some action shots have this like whoosh background thing, which looks pretty bad and kinda cheap, and this episode uses it more than any other episode in the show. Also, the show can actually have some pretty good music. Overall, it was a pretty good episode and a good way to start the show, but you'll have to keep watching to see how the full ranking turns out. It's kinda crazy that Stix wasn't in the first episode at all. In this episode, Eggman says his fortress has been destroyed so that he can stay at Sonic's house, and wear him down so he'll be too tired to stop his newest evil robot. This is a really fun episode concept and shows us just how funny this version of Eggman can be.
I've never lived with other people before.
What about us?
You don't count.
Also, the character animations are a lot more fluid and expressive than a lot of the rest of Season 1, likely due to budget. Also, while watching this show, get ready to hear this sound a lot. Also, Knuckles seems to be less stupid in these first 2 episodes than he is in the rest of the show.
Eggman, you built that thing. How do we take it down?
Also, from this episode on, Tails has this yellow plane, which I think looks better than the red biplane the main series reverted back to as of Sonic Unleashed, but still the blue and yellow was better. This one's going a bit above the previous one, and with that, we're on to... This platform they're under makes it look like they're under a giant table. You can immediately notice how the lighting is a lot flatter than it was in the pilot batch of episodes. My Fair Stixie's plot is just your run-of-the-mill, messy character has to act fancy for something and then by the end learns it's okay to be messy episode. But it's really saved by just how funny it is.
Ooh, let me see. Oh wait, I can't read.
It also feels like they've already gotten the hang of how they want to write these characters.
Move it, shellboy.
Eggman, how did you...
Get nominated? Let's just say I had a loyal base of supporters. Finally, a use for my ballot stuffing robot.
Her tongue looks really weird in that shot. It's kind of funny how episodes of this show just kind of end abruptly like that. Also, why is there a dumpster inside this building? This episode is super funny. It's definitely going at the top of the list for now. And with that, let's get on to...
For you see, my performers ate some bad sushi in the last town and have fallen gravely ill.
If I had a nickel for every time there was a Sonic property with a joke about bad sushi, I would have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. In this episode, after Tails makes a mistake in a battle against Eggman's squid robot...
It's not a squid, it's an octopus! Can't you tell by the size of the tentacles in relation to the head?
Sorry, octopus spot. After Tails' machine doesn't work, he goes off to try and fix it. I forgot to mention that I actually prefer the overall shape of the yellow plane, even though I prefer the blue and yellow colors. So this is still one of the best plane designs for Tails. Meanwhile, Sonic and the others get tricked into joining an evil circus by new antagonist T.W. Barker. I can't hear circus music without hearing Extra Tuna anymore. In the end, Tails saves the day and all is well again. I think this is the only episode that doesn't just fade to black at the end.
Finally, I can turn off this dreck!
It has some good jokes, but overall it's just an alright episode. It's going between Couch Crash and the Sidekick, and with that, we're on to... So why is that monkey just like an animal monkey and Comedy Chimp is like a guy? In this episode, Amy discovers that Stix is a hoarder, and so while holding a yard sale, she accidentally unleashes this evil underground species called Froglodites.
Sir, Og is homesick.
That seemingly throwaway line about Og actually comes back later, so keep it in mind. Then, after a musical reference to the A-Team, they seal the Froglodites away again, and all is well. While it's cool that they were introducing this new faction, the main plot is kinda boring. The B-plot of Eggman trying to steal this comic book is honestly way funnier. This one's going at the bottom of the list for now, and with that, we're on to... In this episode, Knuckles believes he's cursed with bad luck, so he tries to use up all his bad luck so then he'll have good luck. This episode's really nothing to write home about, though Eggman believing in this luck stuff is pretty funny. Now this one's going at the bottom of the list, and with that, we're on to...
Hey, Eggman, smile for the birdie.
Oh, they're pecking my eyes! Why would I ever smile at this?
In this episode, Sonic and Eggman get trapped in an ancient temple. While in the temple, Eggman's Eggmobile breaks down, and Sonic hurts his ankle, forcing them to have to work together to get through the temple.
Oh, giddy up!
That was too close. You were almost a Jill sandwich.
This episode shows this version of Sonic and Eggman's rivalry really well.
Catch you later, Eggface.
Not if I destroy you first!
Also, throughout the show, sometimes there's pictures that are in 2D, and I think they look pretty nice. Also, why does Eggman have that harness? This is a great episode. It's at the top of the list for now. And with that, we're on to... In this episode, Eggman creates his own Sonic OC, Swifty the Shrew. The first half of the episode is your standard doppelganger taking over the main character's life plot, but after a rigged race with pretty good music... Sonic is banished, and the episode becomes way better when Eggman reveals his evil plan.
Now, without your precious Hedgehog hero to stop me, I can finally fulfill my lifelong evil dream! Building my own theme park!
Also, the scene where they unbanish Sonic is pretty funny.
All in favor of unbanishing Sonic so that he can save our lives, say aye. Aye! All opposed? Nay.
Until the end, the episode's nothing too special, so it'll be going right above Circus of Plunders. And with that, we're on to...
Eggman swiped UT and replaced him with this imposter!
That's not an imposter. This is an imposter. In this episode, Tails makes a machine that can translate any language into their language, but it turns out it can also translate what people say into what they really mean. Seeing how this invention creates friction between the group, Eggman creates his own version to try and push the group apart. Jeez, she went straight for breaking his neck. After seeing that it was a fake, Tails is the only one who wants to go save the original, because everyone else doesn't like the friction that it causes. But one good use of his robot later and they're all working together to fight Eggman. The end fight here has some particularly good storyboarding and cinematography. This one's a great episode. It's going right above My Fair Stixie.
That was close. I care about your well-being.
Aww.
The Among Us sound?
Not among us!
This episode starts off super good. The fireman robot fight is super funny.
Sonic! Evil anti-firebot is putting a kitten in a tree!
But the rest of the episode is about Stix getting this Nickelodeon robot dog. The green slime looks particularly bad with the way it's animated. In the end, it turns out the dog is one of Eggman's robots, but Stix is able to turn it back to good after a very funny montage joke.
Yeah, I don't remember any of that either.
This episode can be really funny when it's not focusing on green slime being the punchline. It's going right below the Sidekick. And with that, we're on to...
Evil cookies.
Sweet! I'll go get the evil milk!
I like how that implies that he just has evil food around his lair. In this episode, Eggman creates evil cookies with the intention of turning Sonic evil. But instead, Sonic's friends end up eating the cookies and turn evil instead, with these really funny Eggman mustaches.
Actually, I'm an evil mastermind of average intelligence.
Also, there's essentially a Family Guy cutaway gag during this.
Wow, cookies! I hope this turns out better than the last time someone left baked goods on my doorstep.
In general, heroes being turned evil is a very fun trope. However, due to their ego, the evil characters end up turning on each other. So Sonic and Eggman team up, and Eggman has a blue Sonic cookie. And they return everyone back to normal. This Sonic Eggman is super fun and super funny. This episode is very fun. It's going right below Buddy Buddy Temple, and with that, we're on to... In this episode we're introduced to Gogoba Village. All the villagers here have the same shtick of trying to guilt trip people, which while it's fun here and there when they show up as side characters, having a whole episode about it is kind of repetitive and a bit annoying. The guilt off they have here is pretty funny, but the way the music cuts out is funny too. This one's pretty mid. It's going below closed door policy, and with that we're on to... In this episode, Eggman makes friends with an evil computer virus, who has some pretty fun animation, and starts neglecting Orbot and Cowbot even more than he already does. So Orbot and Cowbot go off to stay with Sonic and friends.
Oh, that reminds me. I gotta chop my arm off.
After Nominatus, the evil virus, takes over Eggman's robots, Orbot and Cowbot have to go through a video game world to defeat him.
Yeah, what if the princess is in another castle?
I feel like they could have done more with Orbot and Cowbot being with Sonic and friends before moving on to the video game parts so soon. Ha, got 'em! Also, the way they defeat Nominatus with the fake rock, paper, scissors is mildly funny. Overall, it's still a pretty fun episode, so it'll be going above Evil Genius Couch Crash.
Next time you should be more careful.
That wasn't funny the first 67 times you said it.
Next time he should crab more careful.
In this episode, Dave, the guy who works at Medburger, becomes Eggman's unpaid intern.
But there's just something about unpaid labor that makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside.
Then, after getting into an argument, both Eggman and Dave activate different Doomsday devices.
I'd say it could only be some kind of Doomsday device. Two of them.
The character interactions while Eggman and Dave try and make their machines even stronger is pretty fun. Also, they make a very gross looking sandwich. And in the end, Sonic saves the day with a Chekhov's gun device that Tails made earlier in the episode. The episode is very fun, and Dave is one of the funniest antagonists introduced in this show. This one's going right below Translate This, and with that, we're on to...
Today turned out a lot different than I expected.
In this episode, Eggman's trying to make his lair look nice so that it can be in a magazine. The jazzy music in this scene is good. Meanwhile, Amy is feeling underappreciated by Sonic and friends, so Eggman uses this to his advantage to get Amy to help him with his lair. In the end, things don't work out because of Eggman's ego and self-centeredness. His nose looks like partially transparent here or something. Eggman also has a roller coaster in his base for some reason, which is really funny. This episode's pretty good. It's going above My Fair Stixie, and with that, we're on to...
You know, in retrospect, that may have been bad advice.
I don't know where retrospect is, but it was bad advice here, too.
That was always one of my favorite jokes in the show when I first watched it, which was like a decade ago, jeez. In this episode, we meet this giant made of rocks, which has insomnia, but apparently Styx's ear-grating singing can put it to sleep. This episode can be really funny, but the main plot is pretty boring. Poor Styx, I wonder when she'll get another good episode. This one's going right above Circus of Plunders, and with that, we're on to... Why is that water splash effect so slow? In this episode, Styx sees a cross-eyed moose and believes that she's cursed. So to try and break the curse, Sonic and friends go off into the woods to meet a marmoset.
You will be given a series of tasks to,
I'm so cooked. Not even 20 episodes in and I've already made multiple references to Hawk Tua. Two of them, to be exact. After leading them on for a while, the marmoset eventually breaks the curse. Aside from the scene early in the episode of Styx's traps trying to keep everyone safe from the curse, the episode feels aggressively mid. The lighting in this one shot of the island looks really good. This episode also has some very fun fight choreography. Moto Bug Jockey! This one's going right below Circus of Plunders, and with that, we're on to...
Maybe our A game makes his A game look like a Z game. Oh, that's much worse if you understand the alphabet.
In this episode, Eggman's feeling burnt out from losing to Sonic all the time and becomes Jim Carrey Eggman from the beginning of Sonic 3, which then causes Sonic to be restless and bored since he has no one to fight. I honestly really like this characterization of Sonic. In the end, Eggman and Sonic get into an argument which reignites Eggman's desire to beat him. This is a great episode. It's going right below Double Doomsday, and with that, we're on to... In this episode, Eggman makes it so that a noise plays whenever Sonic runs. Everyone in this episode acts like the noise is super annoying, but it doesn't even sound that bad. They definitely could have done more to make the noise actually annoying. We also never get an explanation of how Eggman made this noise happen, because when he tries to explain it...
I've actually prepared a brief presentation that explains the whole brilliant scheme.
Because of how much everyone hates the noise, Sonic isn't allowed to run anymore, which leads to some very funny jokes. To get rid of the annoying sound, Eggman gives Sonic these new shoes. The dynamic with how everyone interacts with Eggman in this show, despite him being the main villain, is very fun. But it turns out, whenever Sonic moves, the new shoes power up Eggman's new robot, which he calls Giant Robot in this episode, despite in a previous episode the exact same robot being called The Mega. Another great episode. This one's going right above Aim Low, and with that, we're on to... Whatever game they're playing in the opening scene is really funny. In this episode, Eggman's created his strongest robot yet, Cowbot. They can't destroy Cowbot because...
Cowbot is filled with mutonium, a pun-based radioactive compound. If you destroy him, he'll vaporize everything in a 20-mile radius.
So instead they tip it over and Tails reprograms it to go back to Eggman's base.
This is my kingdom come.
But with the unique dynamic that they have with Eggman in this show, they end up helping him defend his base. Though because Cowbot moves so slow, they have lots of time for character interactions. And really gross looking marshmallow goop.
This is my cup.
Me when I touch the marshmallows of instant death. They use the marshmallow goop to mess up Cowbot.
This is...
So the day is saved. This one's pretty good. It's going right above Fortress of Squalitude, and with that, we're on to...
These numbers are off the chart. Fortunately, I have a bigger chart.
In this episode, Sonic and friends are watching a meteor shower. Then, when Sonic and Eggman both touch one of the meteors, they switch bodies. Yeah, this is the Freaky Friday episode.
I'm not Eggman, I'm Sonic.
He's pretending to be Sonic again. Well, I'm not gonna be Amy this time.
Ah, too freaky! The voice Sonic's actor does for Eggman being Sonic is really good.
This is delicious.
Everyone's back in their normal bodies by the end, of course. This one's pretty good. It's going right below Cowbot, and with that, we're on to... In this episode, Orbot and Cubot wake up with no memory of what happened the previous night, and they have no idea where Eggman is. So this is like the hangover episode of the show. Orbot and Cubot go around the village trying to find out what happened last night. They get to see a funny Knuckles power fantasy, a walrus who looks particularly naked compared to everyone else in the show.
Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer due.
You know, the fact that they chose that song specifically to sing might be a reference to the fact that it was actually the first song ever sung by a computer. The reason for their memory loss in the end turns out to be really funny.
You went to all this trouble? For us?
Of course not. I had you do all the work, and then I erased your memories to make sure it was still a surprise.
This one's pretty good. It's going right above My Fair Stixie, and with that, we're on to...
Gotta invent some device to keep those losers out of my garbage. There, that ought to do it.
In this episode, while Stix is gathering some berries for a pie contest, Tails creates a machine to try and help, but accidentally causes mass deforestation. Seeing this, a new evil secret group of villains called the Lightning Bolt Society tries to invite Tails to join them. A couple villains from previous episodes are in the Lightning Bolt Society. In the end, Tails doesn't join because, well, he's not evil.
He'll betray us all.
That sounds pretty evil to me.
Now I'm just confused.
This episode also has a reference to the old Batman show.
To the Eggmobile!
The Lightning Bolt Society being made up of a bunch of B-tier villains means they're really not that good at being evil. But that's super fun. They make any episode they're in better. This is a great episode. It's going right above Cowbot, and with that, we're on to... In this episode, during a very fun fight with Eggman's moth robot, Eggman hurts his neck and tries to sue Sonic, which ends up with this being the courtroom episode of the show. It's super funny, and there's a bunch of great jokes during the courtroom stuff.
Why, I'm dumb as a rock, just like you good folks.
In the end, everything is fine as it's revealed that Eggman faked his injury. It also has a pretty funny joke scene at the end.
Well, that was anticlimactic.
Speaking of comedy, Chim, I really like when shows have reoccurring restaurants and TV shows within the TV show. It just makes the show's world feel more complete. This is another great episode. It's going right above the last one, and with that, we're on to... Oh hey, that's a reference to a trip to the moon. In this episode, during a battle with Sonic, Eggman accidentally creates a time loop, where he keeps reliving the same day over and over like Groundhog Day. At first, he uses this to perfect his battle so that he can finally defeat Sonic, only to be disappointed when he wakes up the same morning without his victory.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer.
In the end, he manages to get rid of the time loop by working with Tails and the others. While this episode is pretty funny, just like the rest of the show,
Cubot, stop playing with my hologram thingy.
it also has one of the most solid stories in the show so far.
It's no use.
It's no use!
This is one of the best episodes so far. It's going at the top of the list for now, and with that, we're on to...
Do you love your plain Tails? Do you love it?
I do.
In this episode, Eggman starts selling tomato sauce, and everyone loves it. But it turns out the cans are actually evil robots.
If you get me out of here, I'll set you up with a nice box of rigatoni.
Comedy Chimp is one of my favorite side characters. While the whole episode is good, I feel like the first half where Eggman's selling the sauce and we're not entirely sure what's going on is more interesting than the second half where all the action is. This one's going right below How to Succeed in Evil Without Really Trying, and with that we're on to...
Sonic, you just don't understand how movies and TV shows work. They always have a little filler material before someone bursts in to get the real story started.
Guys, check out my new invention.
They misspelled Royale as Royal on Tubi. It's supposed to be Robot Battle Royale. Sonic Battle Pass! I just shit. In this episode, inspired by Tails, Knuckles wants to be an inventor too. I was kind of worried Knuckles was just going to be annoying, bugging Tails the whole episode, but he's actually great in this episode.
Let me ask you guys a question. Are you tired of eating turkey and bread in separate bites?
But then when the mayor holds a robot battle royale, Tails and Knuckles decide to enter. The robot fights have some great jokes.
Prepare to get fries with that.
Tails enters the tournament with his new Hypnobot, which can take control of other robots. But Eggman ends up stealing the robot so he can control all the robots from the Battle Royale. So Tails and Knuckles have to get over their rivalry from this episode and work together to stop Eggman. This episode is great. Now it's at the top of the list. And with that, we're on to...
I'll be back.
In this episode, Eggman frames Sonic for stealing his particle accelerator.
Not his particle accelerator. I was hoping to get a picture with it.
So Sonic goes into hiding with this disguise, while Knuckles and the villagers are trying to track him down.
Dude, I didn't steal anything.
I know, but there's a posse on your tail. I don't want to lose you. You're a valuable member of Team Knuckles.
That's actually some pretty fun character writing for this silly version of Knuckles. While Sonic's undercover, he makes friends with a new co-worker named Earl. And when Earl gets hit in the head and needs a special orchid to get him healthy again, Sonic goes off to get it despite his current predicament, which is some pretty good heroic characterization. Kinda reminds me of that scene in Sonic and the Black Knight, where he goes off to save a village from a dragon despite being on a timer to beat the Knights of the Round Table. Eventually, Sonic and Knuckles go to track down the fake Hedgehog that... Wait a minute, is this episode Sonic Adventure 2? Anyways, they find out the person that Eggman used to frame Sonic is none other than... I don't know if that Metal Sonic jump scare was supposed to be that funny, but it's really funny. Then they actually have a pretty good fight against Metal Sonic in this episode, but Sonic wearing his disguise for the whole thing does add a little bit of silliness to it. They're on a roll with great episodes so far. This one's at the top of the list now, and with that, we're on to... In this episode, Eggman's making a movie, which leads to some pretty funny scenes, like Knuckles being a stuntman for Sonic. But it turns out the movie was actually just a ruse to hypnotize everyone in the village. But...
In your haste, you forgot to install the movie Mindslaver device into the camera.
This is a pretty fun episode. It's going right above Don't Judge Me.
Ooh, here's the scene where I watch my movie.
In this episode, there's a chili dog cook-off in the village. And in his hopes to win, Knuckles goes into the forest to try and find the spiciest pepper. But when he tastes this spicy pepper, he passes out in the woods. From here, the rest of the episode is a dream, which sees Knuckles meeting these talking peppers. But it turns out that they like being boiled to flavor the chili. Usually dream sequences in shows are super obvious to me, but talking peppers seem like the kind of thing that could actually happen in this show, so I was actually kind of surprised when it turned out to all be a dream. This one's alright. It's going right above Buster. And with that, we're on to... In this episode, frustrated with bad service at Medburger, Amy decides that
the people of this unnamed village deserve better.
So she makes her own restaurant, Chez Amy. Then her and Dave the Intern have this restaurant war where they keep trying to one-up each other. Also, it's weird that they keep calling him Dave the Intern when he was only an intern in that one episode. But I guess Dave the Intern rolls off the tongue better than Dave the minimum wage fast food employee. Eventually, Eggman also has the same issues with Medburger, so he decides to join Amy. Eggman and Amy are a weirdly common duo in this show, but I'm not complaining. They actually work really well together. After they eventually beat Dave, Amy feels bad for him and hires him, which then causes Chez Amy to have less good service, so Eggman gets frustrated with it and destroys it. So everything's back to the status quo at the end. This is a pretty good episode. It's going right below Don't Judge Me, and with that, we're on to... In this episode, an alternate universe version of Knuckles shows up in this universe. However, it turns out that having two of the same person in the same dimension can cause a catastrophic anomaly, which is actually a detail that stays consistent throughout the rest of the show. In the end, they end up working with Eggman to send the alternate dimension Knuckles back to his dimension.
Oh, but I need him back by Thursday.
What's happening Thursday?
I'm gonna attack your... I'm having a party.
This one's pretty good. It's going right above Fortress of Squalitude, and with that, we're on to... I like the dynamic in this show with Sonic and Knuckles doing stupid things together because they think it'll be fun. In this episode, Sonic has to return a book to the library before it gets late fees.
He said it! He said it!
But he keeps getting delayed by side quests and interruptions from the villagers. Even getting into a fight with Eggman, all because Eggman didn't get extra relish on his chili dog. In the end, Sonic barely manages to get the book returned on time. Another pretty good episode. It's going right above My Fair Stixie, and with that, we're on to... This episode starts off with the thing I was just talking about, with Sonic and Knuckles acting pretty foolish together. They're dumb in this episode, but in a really funny way. In this episode, while Sonic and Knuckles are house-sitting for Amy, they accidentally get some cheese on her couch. So they end up going on a game show called Brodown Showdown.
The show where bros go toe-to-toe in hopes of winning a narratively convenient prize.
Did I mention before that this show is really funny? However, due to Eggman's schemes, Eggman and Sonic end up being teamed up for the show.
But I thought this was gonna be a Sonic and Knuckles episode.
And Eggman has his robot trying to destroy the village while the game show's going on. But if Sonic stopped the robot, then he'd be fighting with his bro, which would disqualify him from the show.
And you'll never win that couch for that whiny little girlfriend of yours. She's not my girlfriend.
He ends up choosing working with Knuckles to defeat the robot over getting Amy the new couch. This is a great episode. It's going right above Double Doomsday, and with that, we're on to... Someone liked that opening shot too much. In this episode, Amy and Stix are competing with Sonic and Knuckles to see who has the best survival skills. Stix is actually able to teach Amy some good survival skills.
Survival skills aren't about crafting.
First we mine, then we craft. Let's Minecraft!
While Sonic and Knuckles are...
Stay tuned for Survival Skills Made Easy. Why would anyone watch that?
And now back to, are you smart enough to feed yourself?
Despite this, it seems like Sonic and Knuckles are going to beat Amy and Stix to the destination because Amy and Stix fall into an old missile silo. Wait a minute. Those letters must be a secret code. I'm going in. It says Eggman Missile Industries, a subsidiary of Eggman Fun Toys. In the end, Amy and Stix end up using the missile to win the competition. This one's good. It's going right above Chez Amy. And with that, we're on to...
Meme. Approved.
In this episode, Knuckles ends up filling in for the mayor while he's on a fishing trip. He ends up approving almost everything that comes to his desk and ends up causing a bunch of trouble for the village. Sonic and friends want to stop him because of the issues he's causing, and Eggman wants to stop him because...
That red imbecile has done more damage to this village in a few hours than I've done in years.
However, Knuckles uses his powers of law approval to stop anyone from fighting him. And it's funny that Eggman cares about breaking the law even though he's a supervillain who tries to destroy the village like every other week. In the end, after a little bit of a fight, everything's returned to the status quo as the mayor returns. This one's really good. It's going right above Aim Low, and with that, we're on to... In this episode, after his latest defeat, Eggman renounces all technology, except Orbot and Cubot, because even though he doesn't show it much, part of him does care about them. But while he's gone, the Lightning Bolt Society take over his lair and start using his machines to wreak havoc on the village. And after they unintentionally turn off Orbot and Cubot, Eggman has to get back into his groove to take back his lair. This one's pretty good. It's going right above Fortress of Squalitude, and with that, we're on to... Yeah, that poster's sus. In this episode, a bunch of Tails and Eggman's tools have been going missing, so Eggman sends Orbot and Cubot to go find who stole them.
We won't disappoint you.
It's too late for that.
And it turns out that it's a bunch of old rejected Cubot models.
That's impossible. He has a hat.
And Cubot ends up becoming their leader because they think that he's the ultimate Cubot, though Eggman reveals that Orbot is actually the complete version of the Cubot series. In the end, Eggman wants to destroy all the rejects, but Sonic and Tails end up saving them so that they can go be relocated to a safer area. Though when we see them again in a future episode, the area they're in looks identical to this one. This is a great episode. It's going right above Double Doomsday, and with that, we're on to...
Huh? What? Oops, one too many.
In this episode, while Knuckles is hanging out with reoccurring side character Mike, Sonic ends up saying,
We can't bring you to a battle. I mean, you're just a guy.
The villagers end up being outraged by Sonic calling him just a guy, which leads to Sonic joining this sensitivity group that Amy's running. And to try and make things right, he ends up inviting Mike along to their next battle. But then Mike gets hurt, which leads to...
How could you take that fella to a battle? He's not like you, Sonic. He's just a guy.
Wait, seriously? I only took him to the battle because you people...
You people!
With everything going on, Sonic ends up being so fed up that he quits being a hero.
I quit heroing, and I quit this stupid group!
The voice actors really give it their all in this show. Realizing that Sonic's quit, the Lightning Bolt Society go around town with this really funny being evil montage. In the end, Sonic decides to still be a hero and saves the day. This episode's pretty good. It's going right below the previous one, and with that, we're on to...
Hey, Wolfie!
In this episode, Knuckles puts a trash can on his head and somehow becomes a cultural phenomenon.
You know what people say when they see me wearing this?
I weep for the future of our kind.
Meanwhile, Comedy Chimp is feeling old and washed up, and after a Spider-Man 3 walk scene, the Nutwork ends up replacing Comedy Chimp with Knuckles. Also, I just noticed Wolfie and the Doctor from the Metal Sonic episode appear to have the exact same model. In the end, after making a dirty deal with Eggman, Comedy Chimp ends up getting his show back. The show's been having a streak of fun and unique concepts. This one's going right above Mayor Knuckles, and with that, we're on to... That's the first time anyone other than Tails has used the Enter Beam in this show. In this episode, after defeating Eggman for the millionth time, Sonic and friends receive the Greatest Role Models of All Time award. But after seeing Sonic and friends being irresponsible, the mayor hires new antagonist PB Platypus to train them to be better role models.
What delightful role modeling!
Why am I always second to bread?
Which involves things like general etiquette and politeness, and also trying to resolve conflicts by talking it out rather than fighting. Of course, this won't work on Eggman. So between that and generally being annoyed by PB Platypus throughout the episode, they give up the whole being role models thing and decide to just go back to normal. Also, this episode has some pretty good music. This is a good episode. It's going right above Fortress of Squalitude, and with that, we're on to... The action scenes in this show can have some pretty fun posing. In this episode, the village is celebrating New Year's Eve. The set design and atmosphere of the New Year's Eve party is really fun, but Eggman's upset because he didn't beat Sonic once all year. But then after discovering that the secret of a slow cooker cooking slowly is a red energy sphere inside of it, he uses it to power a device to slow down time for everyone except for himself. And slowed down for Sonic is just regular speed. And after discovering that he can't really fight Sonic when it's all slow motion, they go head to head in a bunch of competitions, but Eggman still manages to lose all of them. And they have a lot of fun with the slow motion in this episode, until eventually they decide to settle things with a dance-off, which Eggman actually manages to win, which then leads to an actually really sweet finale.
It happened in the blink of an eye. Nobody saw anything.
Oh!
Well, nobody but me. Happy New Year, Eggman.
Happy New Year, you blue son of a gun.
This is an amazing episode. It's going at the top of the list, and with that, we're on to... In this episode, Amy is playing a tabletop strategy game called Fuzzy Puppies, but it turns out that Eggman also likes the game, so they start meeting up after battles to play it, which really shows again how surprisingly good a duo Amy and Eggman are. But for the final battle of this episode, the stakes are higher than ever. It's a game of Fuzzy Puppies, and if Eggman loses, he has to give a piece he stole back to the person he stole it from, but if Amy loses, she has to give her favorite piece to Eggman. Amy wins, of course, and everything ends up being okay. The ending also implies that they continue to play this game together throughout the rest of the show. This is a pretty good episode. It's going right below Mayor Knuckles, and with that, we're on to...
Wait. Dave the
In this episode, we follow Dave the Intern as we learn that part of the reason that he's evil in the first place is because his mom is encouraging him and comparing him to people like Eggman. Which is funny at first, but it's honestly kind of sad when you think about it for too long. I've already mentioned that the whole show has really good voice acting, but in this episode, we really get to hear Dave's actor give it his all.
You don't know what I can do or what I'm gonna be! You don't know! I'm bad! I have bad things that you don't know about! I'll be evil! You'll see!
He then goes out and tries to be more evil, but ends up failing and even causing legally distinct YMCA by the village people to play. Eventually, he ends up catching Eggman in one of his own devices, and hijacks his Squidbot to try and fight Sonic. In the end, he loses, but ends up crushing his mom's house, which leads to a weirdly sweet finale.
That's a terrible thing you did! I am so proud of you!
So I'm not a loser?
No! You're a villain!
This is an amazing episode. It's going at the top of the list, and with that, we're on to...
What?
In this episode, Tails returns to his workshop to see that there's been a fire. Sonic, Amy, and Knuckles each tell the story of what happened through their own perspectives, and shows us just how crazy the ego for all three of them can be, and how down bad Sonic and Knuckles are. And then Percy, who's been a side character in the background before, tells her unbiased perspective of what happened, and it seems like any of them could have started the fire. But Tails deduces that it was actually his security system malfunctioning, and then the episode ends with Percy rizzing up Tails. This is a pretty good episode. It's going right above Fuzzy Puppy Buddies, and with that, we're on to... Wow, there's finally a new Eggman robot design. In this episode, Tails has a crush on this character named Zoe, but he doesn't know how to talk to her. So Sonic tries teaching him to be a nonchalant Sigma. When that doesn't work, Knuckles tries teaching him to be a stereotypical jock. When that also doesn't work, he goes and talks to Amy.
If you want to know what women want, talk to a woman.
That's brilliant! Where can I find one?
I'm a woman! I'm refined and elegant like a delicate flower!
Who turns him into the Phantom of the Opera, and after that, Styx tries teaching him this goofy mating dance. But all any of his friends' advice end up doing is embarrassing him, and Eggman's actually been noticing this throughout the whole episode, so he gives Tails the advice to just be himself. And after rescuing Zoe from one of Eggman's robots, in a fight scene that has some very fun framing and posing, Eggman's advice ends up working out for him. This episode is pretty good, it's going right above Double Doomsday, and with that, we're on to... In this episode, there's a huge storm, so Sonic and friends are all staying at Amy's house. But they all end up being very bad house guests, making messes and getting into her Sonic fanfiction. After some arguments and fighting, everyone makes their own forts in her house, which is definitely the best part of the episode.
Television. Who needs it? Don't ever say that again.
Before their game eventually devolves into a huge pillow fight, leaving Amy's house as a total mess. Amy is quite upset by this, for good reason. So to make it up for her, they decide to put on a play based on her book. This episode's alright, it's going right above Sleeping Giant, and with that, we're on to...
White is black, and black is white.
The character animations are particularly expressive in this episode. It's a show that was running in the mid-2010s, so it's time for the Justin Bieber episode that definitely aged very well. In this episode, Amy, Styx, and every other girl in the village is obsessed with Justin Bieber music, which turns out to actually be because his music is mind control. In fact, Justin himself is under the mind control of the producers. To save the day, Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails make a band called Duditude, and with the power of an honestly just okay sounding rock ballad, they're able to break the mind control. This episode's pretty good, it's going right above Don't Judge Me. And with that, we're on to...
This heat wave is too hot. What's a stronger word than hot?
Knuckles. I'm a stronger word than hot.
In this episode, the Homeowners Association is getting on Eggman for having robots at his lair, so he has to try and hide his robots from them while they're coming over for an inspection. In the end, he ends up getting his robots classified as art so that he can keep them. As I said before, it's really funny that Eggman cares about laws. Like, why would he care about what this Homeowners Association says? If I had a nickel for every time there was a Sonic show that referenced that specific E.T. shot, I would have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. Honestly, that plot's pretty good, but that main premise of the episode comes into the episode like halfway through. The first half of the episode is just about a heat wave, which leads to this episode just being like, okay, it's going right above Circus of Plunders, and with that, we're on to... In this episode, after Knuckles accidentally gets this side character named Charlie fired from an apple stand, he feels bad and wants to try and make things right. But Charlie has a pretty good life by now. He has his dream job and he's happily married. So Knuckles just ends up making everything worse, getting him fired and kicked out of his house, leading to Charlie making this mech suit so that he can get back at Knuckles, which is honestly totally deserved. Knuckles was horrible in the first half of this episode, but in the second half, Knuckles makes a better attempt to improve himself and make things better with Charlie. But Charlie rejects all his apologies and becomes a supervillain. The final battle between Charlie and Knuckles has some pretty good music. In the end, even though Charlie gets defeated, things work out between him and his wife because it turns out that his wife supports him in being a supervillain. This is a really good episode. It's going right above Just a Guy, and with that, we're on to... The thing with Orbot and Cowbot being these commentators is really funny. In this episode, Eggman says it's unfair that he's outnumbered by Sonic and friends, so they make an agreement to only fight him one at a time. But in these 1v1 battles, Eggman's able to outsmart and defeat everyone. In the end, they do manage to defeat him by working together, tagging each other in so they're still only fighting him one at a time. This is a pretty good episode. It's going right below Tails' crush, and with that, we're on to...
Shadow the Hedgehog!
In this episode, Eggman's gathered a bunch of villains from throughout the show, including Shadow. At first, Shadow doesn't want to join, which does give all the other villains some time to shine as their coordinated attacks are about to defeat Sonic and friends.
Call off your goons.
Goons. And when it seems like Sonic's going to be able to win, Shadow appears, which then leads to a pretty good fight between Sonic and Shadow. Also, this episode has some really good music. In the end, Sonic is able to defeat Shadow, but Shadow says that he'll be back. Then the season ends with a pretty good meta joke from Orbot and Cowbot.
Just think of all the hundreds more stories to be told using the same 8 characters and 4 locations.
This is a great episode. It's going right below Next Top Villain. And and that's season 1. We're halfway through. And if you've watched this far into the video, then it probably means that you're enjoying it, so you should totally subscribe. It's totally free, you'll stay up to date on my new videos, and it helps out. So far, the best episode is Next Top Villain, and the worst episode is Guilt Tripping. Yeah, I know at some point I said Unlucky Knuckles was at the bottom of the list, but while I was recording and editing and stuff, I decided to switch Unlucky Knuckles and Guilt Tripping around, because I think Unlucky Knuckles is better than Guilt Tripping. Now it's time for season 2. Will the show reach new heights, fall off, or be more of the same? Let's find out, starting with... One thing you'll notice right away in season 2 is that the characters feel much less stiff now, moving more fluidly and having more exaggerated and cartoony expressions. In this episode, we meet an actor named Tommy Thunder, who follows Sonic around because he wants to get inspiration for his next role, but he ends up gaslighting himself into thinking that he's a real hero, and taking credit away from Sonic. In the end, he apologizes to Sonic to make everything right. The last battle here has some pretty good music. Also, I really like the spin dash sound effects in this show. It's definitely not a bad episode by any means, but it feels kind of weird as a season premiere. The stakes of the next episode feel much more like a season premiere. This one's going right above Into the Wilderness, and with that, we're on to...
I can spot anything coming at us with my telescope.
How is a telescope different from a telescope?
It's not.
In this episode, while working on one of his satellites, Eggman discovers an asteroid that's going to destroy the world. To profit off of this, he sells places in his secret bunker.
Why didn't we know about it?
Because it's not a famous underground bunker.
Meanwhile, Tails is trying to find a way to stop the asteroid. While... Wait, is that Why So Serious from The Dark Knight? Eventually, he sends Knuckles into space to try and stop the asteroid. With his new device...
The Solar Convergence Device, or as I like to call it, the Solar Convergence Device.
But when Tails' machine breaks, Knuckles smashes it apart himself. The scene in space is super fun and has some amazing music. This is an amazing episode. It's going at the top of the list, and with that, we're on to... This season is on a streak of introducing new great music. In this episode, Stix makes a podcast to try and spread the truth, or whatever conspiracy theories that she deems to be the truth. Which, I mean, like, some of them are real, like Eggman trying to steal the water. Eventually, she gets picked up for a show on a real news network, but the network slowly turns her show into soulless crap. So after one final act of public rebellion, she quits. This episode's good. It's going right above Eggman's tomato sauce, and with that, we're on to... This episode starts with Back to the Future music. In this episode, Sonic wakes up to see that the village is abandoned, so he tries to remember what happened. And we see these tapes of Tails trying to make Sonic go even faster. I really like the framing, camera work, and filters on these scenes. Gives it a really cool vibe. It turns out Sonic went so fast he went out of phase with reality. In the end, by using the same technology, Tails is able to bring him back. This episode's pretty good. It's going right above Translate This, and with that, we're on to... In this episode, we meet Mark the Taper, Sonic's biggest fan.
It's clear he has an unhealthy attachment to you.
And you should know.
And while at first he just seems to be pretty weird, after purposely getting Sonic into a crash, we see that he's completely unhinged.
Quiet, Tails!
Even going as far as to catch Sonic's other friends. But when they discover that they're not really injured, they defeat him pretty easily. It's kinda crazy that this episode even exists, honestly. But it's good, it's going right below Nutwork, and with that, we're on to... Oh hey, this episode's written by Ian Flynn, who if you don't know, recently did some writing for Shadow Generations. Also the first new Eggman robot of the season. In this episode, after Eggman fails to catch Sonic again, Sonic and Tails make a bet to see if Tails can catch Sonic, and Tails fails repeatedly, only ending up catching the others. I love the way Tails' ears move in this episode. Eventually, he actually manages to catch Sonic, but Eggman wanted this, cause now he can destroy Sonic while he's captured, so Tails has to go free the others from their traps.
I was having that dream where I show up at school wearing pants.
In the end, they save Sonic and defeat Eggman. This episode is really good. It's going right above the Metal Sonic episode, and with that, we're on to...
Behold! Major Luck!
In this episode, Eggman made a machine to create a tidal wave to destroy the village, but it's underwater, and Sonic famously can't swim, so in this show he's scared of the water.
You're too scared of the ocean to ever be a true hero.
Eventually they manage to get him in a wetsuit to fight Eggman, but they can't really fight very well underwater. In fact, Eggman almost drowns Sonic, which is probably the most brutal thing he does in this show. We also get to see more new Eggman robots. Whoever did the music for Season 2 really knocked it out of the park. In the end, they use the shark robots to their advantage to defeat Eggman. This episode's pretty good. It's going right above Double Doomsday, and with that, we're on to... In this episode, Eggman makes a new robot named Dreamcaster to hypnotize everyone in the village through their TV. Dreamcaster, get it? Stix finds out, but everyone thinks she's crazy and doesn't believe her until it's too late. Stix doesn't get hypnotized because she doesn't have a TV.
I knew TV was just a big conspiracy to control everyone's minds. I'm not talking to you. You keep watching.
Then Legally Distinct Funky Town plays. In the end, using tinfoil hats to block the mind control, they beat Eggman and Dreamcaster. This is a good episode. It's going right above Fuzzy Puppy Buddies, and with that, we're on to... Oh hey, more new Eggman robots. In this episode, after Tails' new device fails to prevent Eggman from invading the village, he decides to clone himself, in the hopes that their combined intelligence can protect the village. But it turns out the clones only have a fraction of Tails' intelligence.
This wall tastes like dirt.
But when Sonic and friends try and put them back together into one Tails, they end up making more. And the clones cause chaos throughout the village, and even go bug Eggman.
What am I supposed to cover with that? Are you making fun of me?
So in the end, Eggman helps put Tails back together. Tails. This is a really good episode. It's going right above Beyond the Valley of the Cubots, and with that, we're on to... Since when did Sonic have that? Where did that come from? In this episode, fed up with the way Eggman treats them...
You didn't say the magic word.
Pawn shop.
Orbot and Cubot go on strike. Then Eggman tries to have some of his other robots do the housework that Orbot and Cubot normally do, but he ends up mistreating them too, until eventually all his robots are on strike. Then Eggman tries to hire some villagers as his minions, but that doesn't go too well. In the end, Amy helps the robots negotiate better working conditions with Eggman.
Wait.
Amy?
No!
This is a pretty good episode. It's going right above In the Midnight Hour, and with that, we're on to... All the new robots they're introducing in this season make the battles more interesting. In this episode, the mayor passes a law that says all evildoers must have an evil-doing permit to do evil in the village. It's really funny that any of the evildoers care about this law, considering they're evildoers who are breaking the law anyways. So then they all have to take a permit test.
Just gotta factor in wind resistance and terminal velocity.
But due to complications and overthinking during the test, Eggman ends up failing, and there's a time limit for when he can retake the test. So he gives Orbot all the information that he needs to pass the test, and has Orbot take the test in his place, with the plan of just having Orbot as a front and having Eggman as the puppet master. But with all the new evil data, Orbot ends up splitting from Eggman, and during his next attack on the village, he ends up destroying all the permit records, which for some reason causes the law to be null and void, instead of the mayor just putting it back into effect as soon as he can. In the end, because Orbot was mistreating Cubot the way Eggman does, Cubot refreshes him to be back to normal. This is another pretty good episode. It's going right above the previous one, and with that, we're on to...
I'm Knuckles the Echidna. I'm from Angel Island. I'm the beloved leader of this group, and the last of my kind.
It feels kind of crazy having mainline lore like that in this show. In this episode, Knuckles is trying to find a family because he feels alone in the world, which leads to some really hard to watch scenes. Eventually, Charlie and Belinda end up adopting him, so they can use him against Sonic and friends, until eventually Knuckles realizes what they're doing and rejoins Team Sonic, and realizes that they're his family. The ending of the episode being entertaining is like the only thing that saves this from being a 1 out of 10 for me. The whole episode just feels weird and like not in a fun way, and it's really hard to watch. This is not a good episode. It's going at the bottom of the list, and with that, we're on to...
Illuminati! Lizard people!
Wait, wouldn't lizard people not even be a weird thing in this universe? This episode starts off with a parody of The Predator. This scene has some really fun lighting. They should really play around with the time of day more like this. While they're in the jungle, they find this dark cave, and Tails reveals that he's made glowing suits for everyone. Except for Stix. Screw her, I guess. While they're in the cave, they find an ancient mech suit. Sonic gets in the suit and it turns out to be really strong, but it also starts to turn him evil. It's kinda like the Venom suit from Spider-Man 3. And to drive that connection home, they play Legally Distinct Drive That Funky Soul. The suit makes Sonic worse and worse until he eventually tries to destroy the village. But the suit's too strong for any of his friends to defeat him. But Tails ends up outsmarting him with a plan, and he removes the chip that makes the mech suit make people evil. We also see Sonic at his most down bad in this episode.
Check it out. Twins.
Really don't remember anything? Not even those twins?
Oh, I remember the twins, alright.
Also, I want everyone to appreciate this shot of Eggman. It's really funny. This is a pretty good episode. It's going right above Multi-Tails, and with that, we're on to... In this episode, Eggman makes a new robot called Fiendbot, who knows everything about how to counter Sonic in battle, and also has the coolest robot design in the show. But when he analyzes the data of Sonic saving people, he becomes Friendbot and joins Sonic. The others are a bit skeptical of him and he's having trouble fitting in. But during the next battle with Eggman, with some really good music, Friendbot proves himself by being willing to sacrifice himself to save Sonic. So after Tails repairs him, they decide the best place for him is to guard the cubots in the Valley of the Cubots. This is a really good episode. It's going right above Alone Again Unnaturally, and with that, we're on to... Oh, this is the other episode written by Ian Flynn. The opening fight has some really fun lighting and choreography, and it really shows how all the new robots really freshen up the fights. In this episode, Og the Froglodyte escapes from the underground, but unlike the others, he's a good guy. Being skeptical of this, Sonic and friends take turns watching him, and while he doesn't do anything evil, they all seem to get on each other's nerves. Eventually, the other Froglodytes find the hole that Og escaped from, so they get out and start attacking the village. I really didn't expect the Froglodytes to return, but they're definitely more interesting in this episode because they're led by this weird drill sergeant guy for some reason. In the end, Og proves himself as a hero by defeating said drill sergeant guy. This episode is pretty mid. It's going right above Cabin Fever. And with that, we're on to... Whoa, it's Swifty the Shrew, but now he's a purple guy. In this episode, Knuckles wins a lamp, but he needs a house with electricity to use it in. So he makes a sketchy deal with T.W. Barker to get a house, and gets an office job to pay for the electricity. But when Barker asks for more money, Knuckles has to get a second job at Medburger. Knuckles being too busy with work to spend time with Sonic and friends is too real and depressing. Eventually, while trying to juggle his jobs, he ends up getting fired from both. But when Sonic and friends learn about his deal with T.W. Barker, Amy gets him out of it, and Tails gives Knuckles a place in his workshop for his lamp. This is a pretty good episode. It's going right above Mayor Knuckles, and with that, we're on to...
But I'd like to get serious for a moment while we honor a real hero.
In this episode, there's a blackout. That cat sound effect is in like every episode of Season 2. It turns out the whole village is powered by a crystal, but the crystals run out of power, so Sonic and friends need to climb a mountain to try and find a new one. The climbing up the mountain scene is really funny.
Day 3. The cold is unbearable. For the first time in my life, I actually considered wearing pants. Desperate times indeed.
And there's even more great music. Eventually, they reach an ancient temple, but the temple has an ancient guardian.
Cool. See ya.
Okay, that actually really caught me off guard the first time I saw it. To pass the Guardian's trials, they have to solve these riddles. Everyone keeps overthinking them, but Knuckles' dumb answers always turn out to be right. Eventually, they get the crystal and can return power to the town. Wait, that implies that Comedy Chimp's been sitting there with that sandwich for like days on end. This is a really good episode. It's going right above I Can See Sonic's Sphere from Here, and with that, we're on to...
But what about the villagers?
Oh, these dudes? They're the villagers!
In this episode, they finally address that the village doesn't have a name, but they discover that it used to be called Badgerville, named after Jebediah Badger, who was so evil that the villagers kicked him out and destroyed any remnants of his name, and Styx happens to be his descendant, which causes her to be outcast by the villagers. And when they try to rename the village, Amy suggests Pleasant Valley, and Eggman propositions Eggman City. By using bribes and propaganda, Eggman ends up winning the vote. But it turns out that hidden in his proposition was a clause to make him supreme ruler of the village. But when Amy goes to the library, she discovers that Jebediah Badger never actually gave up ownership of the village, meaning that now Styx has inherited the village. So she nullifies Eggman's rule of the village, and renames it to Hedgehog Village after Amy, who stuck with her even when everyone else was against her. This is a pretty good episode. It's going right below the previous one, and with that, we're on to... In this episode, we meet Steve, Eggman's long-lost brother.
I am Steve.
Eggman doesn't trust him, so he pushes him away. So Steve joins Team Sonic. But it turns out he only joins Team Sonic so that he could use his shape-shifting powers to split them apart, because he's actually not Eggman's brother. He's the Great Morpho, an Eggman creation from another dimension that got destroyed. In the end, Tails discovers the plan that Morpho let slip to Amy, and they reassemble the team to defeat Eggman. Steve, or the Great Morpho, is easily one of the best characters in the show. This is a really good episode. It's going right above Fiendbot, and with that, we're on to... In this episode, once again fed up with bad service at Medburger, Eggman talks to the CEO and ends up replacing all the employees, or well, the one employee, with robots. This episode aged scarily well. And then when there's a party at Medburger to celebrate their successes, Eggman takes this opportunity to not only get final revenge on Medburger, but also to destroy Sonic by launching Medburger into space. So Styx and Dave, with guidance from Tails, need to get on Tails' plane to save them. Why does Tails just already have a Dave the Intern colored spacesuit laying around? In the end, Medburger is back in its place and Dave the Intern is promoted to Dave the Manager. This is a pretty good episode. It's going right below Multi-Tails, and with that, we're on to... Now we're at the first multiple part episode. I was considering ranking each part separately, but it just doesn't feel like it makes much sense. Because it really feels like it's all one big episode, or maybe even a TV movie that just got split into 4 parts. So I'm gonna rank it all in one spot. So now let's get into it. In this episode, we're introduced to Myton and Bolts when their ship falls from the sky. It turns out that they're from the flying city of Morristown.
You didn't name it something like Robotopia?
Or Sky Sanctuary?
At first, they think Sonic and friends are evil because they see them breaking Eggman's robots. But it doesn't take long for them to realize that Eggman's actually evil, and team up with Sonic and friends. So then Tails helps them fix their ship, which apparently crashed because it had malware. But after Myton and Bolts leave, part 1 ends with Sonic and friends being ambushed. Even though it's only part 1, you can already see how ambitious they are with this one, with all 4 parts having some of the best posing, framing, and expressions in the show. And at the risk of sounding like a broken record, this episode also has some more great music. Now let's see how it continues in part 2. In this episode, we see that the mysterious ambush was from the rejected cubots. After defeating them, Tails discovers that they were infected with the same malware as Myton and Bolt's ship. Meanwhile, Eggman's robots mysteriously go rogue and start attacking the village. The music when they're leaving his fortress is really good. Knuckles, Amy, and Stix stay back to defend the village while Sonic and Tails go off to Morristown to cut the malware off at its source.
You know, Tails, it would really improve the travel experience if you offered some in-flight entertainment, or at least a bag of peanuts.
Or in other words...
Talk about low-budget flights, no food or movies, I'm out of here.
Also,
don't try this at home, kids.
If I had a nickel for every time Sonic looked directly into the camera during a TV show to tell the audience not to do something, I would have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. After a fun air battle, Sonic and Tails get into a robot ship so that they can get into Morristown without being detected. Meanwhile, Friendbot shows up at the village, but he's been infected by the malware too. The cinematic music in this is really good.
Sonic, wherever you are, you better be kicking butt right now.
While this 4-part episode is putting a lot more effort into having a more grand story, it's definitely still very funny.
Sonic, Tails, get down here! It's a code teal!
The cable company's raising rates again?
Now let's see how it continues in part 3.
Over here.
Oh, thank goodness. A stranger in a dark alley.
In this part, we see Sonic and Tails in Morristown. The new location and unique enemies really help spice things up. And after a chase scene with some fun music... Sonic and Tails meet up with Myton, Bolts, and the robot Resistance. The only reason they're not being controlled is because the signals carrying the virus can't get in through the lead walls of their bunker. Meanwhile, things are looking bleak back at the village. This village fight is one of the best fights in the entire show, but Knuckles manages to rally everyone with a speech to turn the tide of the battle. Meanwhile, Sonic and Tails discover that Hypnobot is behind it all. Hypnobot is upset for being abandoned after his defeat, which is a bit of a plot hole because he was reduced to nothing at the end of that episode. But Hypnobot is great in this episode, so I'm just gonna look past the plot hole.
I lost all hope of being cool the day Tails built me in his image.
Aww.
Also, the music during his backstory is really good.
While at the same time creating a stronghold here in Morristown.
In the end, when Tails has the opportunity to destroy Hypnobot, he hesitates because Hypnobot was his creation, which leads to Sonic beating Hypnobot but getting injured in the process. With Hypnobot's defeat, peace is returned, but this part ends with Eggman finding Hypnobot. That part was really good, but let's see how it all ends.
Sonic, when are you coming back?
Who's that? She your girlfriend or something?
What? No?
Oh, I get it. She wears the pants in the relationship.
Nobody wears pants. Nobody.
In this part, Eggman repairs and upgrades Hypnobot, and they go to Morristown to destroy Sonic and Tails once and for all. But Knuckles, Amy, and Stix manage to hitch a ride on one of the robots. This is a great battle with some great music. The battle starts to go in Eggman's favor when Hypnobot controls Myton. So after retreating to the bunker, Tails and Bolts make cyborg clones of Team Sonic. And because they have organic DNA, they can't be controlled by Hypnobot. The final battle is amazing, and these cyborg clones both have really fun designs and are just really fun in general. Also, as if I even had to say it, this fight has some great music. In the end, Tails finally destroys Hypnobot, and the robots rename Morristown to Roboken. This is an amazing episode. It almost feels like a TV movie, and it really shows that this version of the characters and worlds really could have worked for more serialized stories. It's a shame I don't think we'll be seeing anything Sonic Boom anytime soon, unless he's in Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. Now this one's going at the top of the list, and with that, we're on to...
My trash should have been collected 3 weeks ago. You're in luck. This is an election year. I'll take care of it immediately.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that Eggman having issues with his trash is actually an ongoing joke throughout the whole show. In this episode, Eggman has to pay a fine because he has too much trash after a battle. To raise the money to pay it off, he turns his fortress into a resort hotel. There's some low-stakes hijinks, and Eggman's generally rude to his guests, except the ones that he thinks are reviewers, so he tries to butter those ones up, even though it turns out that Amy's actually the only reviewer there. In the end, Eggman's base gets destroyed in a battle, but this insurance agent Bird pays for him to rebuild it, because Eggman was nice to him thinking he was one of the reviewers. This episode's alright, it's going right above Eggman Out, and with that we're on to... What is up with Sonic's face right there? In this episode, Sonic gets hired at Medburger to make deliveries, getting paid 1 chili dog for every successful order. He has to deliver the order in 3 minutes or less or the food's free. Seeing this, Eggman tries to make Sonic's deliveries late in any way he can. This battle scene has some really good music. In the end, Sonic makes all his deliveries in time and Eggman fails. But after eating too many chili dogs, Sonic decides to quit to return everything to the status quo. This episode is really fun. It's going right above I Can See Sonic's Fear from Here, and with that, we're on to...
Soup's on, egg drop!
This show can actually have some pretty good one-liners. In this episode, after a battle for the Fregosi Sapphire, Amy finds a damaged Bebot. Feeling bad for it, her and Tails decide to help it.
And installed a personality chip.
And she raises it kinda like a pet.
Play dead!
Meanwhile, Knuckles is guarding the Sapphire because...
People have been complaining that I don't guard enough rare stones.
Amy names her Bebot B, but Eggman ends up getting a hold of it. So then during their next fight, they can't really fight the Bebots because...
I mean, they all look alike.
Not cool, Sonic.
And Eggman gets a hold of the Sapphire to power his robot. In the end, Amy manages to get B back and stop the robot. And Tails uses a piece of the Sapphire to power Bebot and also paints her pink. This episode is actually pretty sweet. It's going right below the previous one, and with that, we're on to...
Isn't that just your Build-It box?
Okay, I think this episode aired out of order because in another episode they make a big deal about Tails inventing the Build-It box, so yeah. In this episode, Tails has a device that can turn digital things into real things.
There is a certain princess in a castle I'd like to meet.
And Nominatus, who's apparently still alive, wants to use it to get into the real world. Geez, the pixel filter on them when they're in the digital world looks way worse than it did in Season 1. Eventually, Nominatus and his goons manage to get into the real world, but they're tiny. Eventually, after some trouble with some local wildlife, they manage to get to full size. Nominatus steals Tails' device so that he can make a bunch of video game enemies real. The last fight with him has some really fun music. Eventually, Tails gets his machine back so that he can shrink them all back down to being tiny. The episode ends with them living in a terrarium in Eggman's base. This episode's good, it's going right above Dude, Where's My Eggman, and with that, we're on to...
Councilman McMahon! What nitwit thought kids would find a bean-counting bureaucrat character interesting?
In this episode, after being disqualified from a science fair for being too old, Eggman is feeling put out, so he decides to create a mom boss to be his mom. She tries to get him to get along with Sonic, which obviously doesn't work very well for him. Oh hey, that's the Sonic 06 Eggman music. So after what's overall a pretty weird episode, he ends up sending her off on a cruise to get rid of her. This episode's pretty weird and I don't care for it too much, so it's going right above guilt tripping. And with that, we're on to... In this episode, an endangered species known as a Witabit decides to live in Sonic's house. Ugh, I hate the way it looks. And with his house now being a protected zone, he has to live with Tails. Sonic ends up getting on Tails' nerves quite a bit. Man, there's a lot of stories in this show about people being bad guests in other people's houses. There's some really nice music here. Eventually, fed up with waiting for the Wittabit to move on its own, Tails uses a Wittabit call machine to try and get another one to show up, so that the Wittabits can do their mating ritual and then move on to somewhere else. However, it doesn't seem to be working very well, and eventually a bunch more show up, but none of them are right for the Wittabit that moved into Sonic's house, so they have to go out into the woods to try and find another one. Eventually, after fighting a lot for the whole episode, Sonic and Tails make up in the woods, where they find the Wittabit that finally works with the other Wittabit, so Sonic can have his house back. In a week when they're done, you know. I really like the Sonic and Tails stuff in this episode, but the rest is kinda mid.
I've been living under your porch.
You can't live under my porch.
This one's going right above Chili Dog Day afternoon, and with that, we're on to... In this episode, Tails invents the Build-It box, an advanced 3D printer that can make almost anything. And they all use it to make race cars for all of Team Sonic. So they end up holding a race in the village. The race has some great music and really fun shots. As the race goes on, Sonic and friends' cars end up getting destroyed. And Eggman can win, but he takes his time gloating at the finish line before doing so, giving Team Sonic time to combine their cars together. So then Sonic's back in the race.
Oh look, a moving bush.
In the end, Sonic barely manages to win. This is a really fun episode. It's going right above Blackout, and with that, we're on to...
Hey, check out that hideous stain on the floor!
It's not a stain, it's the one clean spot.
In this episode, Sonic and friends have fleas, so they're quarantined from the rest of the village, leaving Eggman to be able to wreak havoc. Eventually, they discover that it's not fleas, it's flea bots. So after a fun fight with Eggman with some new good music... they turn the fleas on him. Speaking of music, this episode also has legally distinct Mission Impossible music. This is a pretty good episode. It's going right above Fuzzy Puppy Buddies, and with that, we're on to...
You guys do know about Muckfoot.
Of course we do. But a little exposition never hurt anybody.
In this episode, there's a cryptid in the woods called Muckfoot, and Tails ends up finding evidence of its existence, and he gets lots of fame for it. But eventually he discovers that all he was seeing was sleepwalking Knuckles. But he doesn't end up telling the truth. Because of this, T.W. Barker wants the fame of Muckfoot, so he goes out in the night and catches him. So then Team Sonic has to rescue Knuckles. In the end, Tails finally tells everyone the truth about Muckfoot. But the episode ends with revealing that Muckfoot actually does exist. This episode is like, okay, it's going right above Circus of Plunders, and with that, we're on to... Despite Buddy Buddy Temple being in the name of the episode really has nothing to do with it. In this episode, Eggman wants the Tummel Crystal to power his new mech, but when he's digging for it, he encounters the Froglodites. They end up worshipping him for his machinery, so they kidnap everyone from Gogaba Village, and force them to mine for the Tummel Crystal. Eventually, Sonic, Tails, and Amy go to rescue the Gogabas.
Smooth move, Fox Boy.
Ah, Sonic the Hedgehog. Snooping as usual, I see.
Snooping as usual, I see. Ping as...
Eventually, Eggman gets the Tummel Crystal, so Sonic has to use his mech, which I guess they kept around since it doesn't turn people evil anymore, to fight Eggman. The mech battle is super fun and has one of the best songs in the show. Oh hey, the imprint of Eggman getting pushed into the wall in that first mech episode is still there. In the end, Sonic wins and the day is saved. Also, they never explain why Tails has a hat in this episode, he just has it. This is a really good episode, it's going right above Curse of the Buddy Buddy Temple, and with that, we're on to... In this episode, someone stole Amy's hammer, and she feels useless without it. The opening battle has some great cinematography, so to find her hammer, she calls in... Whoa, Vector, I didn't expect him to be in this show, is what I would have said if Tubi didn't have a picture of him on a random episode in Season 1 for some reason. Speaking of weird Tubi pictures, Sonic X and Sonic Boom both actually have pretty good pictures. Sad AM and Sonic Underground both have kind of boring ones, and they also use the same PNG of Sonic. But Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog has a Sonic that looks nothing like he does in the show, and modern Eggman? Yeah, okay, I guess.
When they paid me big-time TV do-re-mi.
He did the Sonic Heroes thing! Throughout the episode, we get to see Sonic and Vector working together to try and find Amy's hammer. We also get to see Sonic being jealous of Vector's popularity. There's also some really groovy music while they're investigating. Their first suspect is Justin Beaver, but when he has an airtight alibi, their next suspect is Wolfie. They even find Amy's hammer in this prop chest, but Vector knows that something's off, and they discover that it was actually that TV producer guy / music producer guy named Dixon. He was originally just doing it to frame Justin Beaver to get revenge on him for quitting on doing music with him, and he only put the hammer in Wolfie's chest because Justin Beaver had an airtight alibi. This is unironically one of my favorite depictions of Vector. He's really fun and I really like his design. This is a great episode. It's going right above It Takes a Village to Defeat a Hedgehog, and with that, we're on to...
Not another speeding ticket. I'll fight it in court, but I don't think they're gonna accept gotta go fast as a medical condition.
In this episode, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles are all going on a road trip because their band Dooditude has a concert on the other side of the island. Most of the pictures in Tails' car make sense, but why is there a picture of him just looking at his computer with a virus? During the road trip, Tails and Knuckles want to keep stopping to see the sights, but Sonic just wants to hurry and get to the concert venue right away. Eventually, there's this really fun part where they run into the Bike Chain Bandit, a wanted psychopath. However, during their escape from him, they end up breaking traffic laws and getting arrested. But eventually, they manage to break out, and after a really fun chase scene, they manage to catch the Bike Chain Bandit. So then they're free to go, only to realize that when they get to the concert venue, they're a whole month early. Throughout the episode, there's these scenes where Sonic calls Amy, and we get to see a little bit of what Amy and Stix are up to while the others are gone. Also, the Dooditude songs are way better in this episode than they were in the first Dooditude episode.
Dooditude's back, y'all. We ain't whack, y'all. We want you to hear us way up at the back wall. So drop your hands and raise your feet. Cause Dooditude's dropping his fat feet.
This episode is super fun. It's going right above Anything You Can Do, I Can Do Worser, and with that, we're on to... In this episode, we get to see what Stix and Amy were doing while the others were on the road trip, which already, I gotta say, is a really fun concept. They set up a decoy Sonic to distract Eggman so that they can enjoy some time off.
Lucky for us, I just happen to own this homemade Sonic doll, which I keep around for totally legitimate, definitely non-creepy reasons.
Which works surprisingly well.
Watch me ham-bone.
Ham-boning. During their free time, they realize that they don't really care for each other's hobbies too much, but they can both enjoy the spa together. Eventually, Eggman realizes that it was a fake Sonic, so in his anger, he goes to attack the village, and Stix and Amy have a really fun fight with him with some really fun music. But then Belinda, Charlie's wife, shows up in his mech suit. She's attacking the village herself because she's tired of watching from the sidelines as Eggman and Charlie fail time and again. In the end, Stix and Amy use what they learned from each other to defeat Belinda. Then there's actually a really sweet ending where it turns out that Charlie was actually getting Belinda a super suit of her own. This is a pretty good episode. It's going right above Robot Employees, and with that, we're on to...
Can the young woman break the glass ceiling and prove once and for all that a female can be just as good an athlete as a male?
You know, Amy, anytime someone calls attention to the breaking of gender rules, it ultimately undermines the concept of gender equality by implying that this is an exception and not the status quo.
This episode has Legally Distinct Jump by Van Halen. In this episode, Eggman invents an anti-gravity ray, but Cowbot gets a hold of it and accidentally starts causing some chaos. I really like the music when he first shows up at the village. The anti-gravity ray starts messing with his brain and makes him think he's some kind of higher being, and he wants everyone to ascend with him. Eventually, he gets everyone but Sonic and Tails. The music for the suit-up in the final battle is one of the best songs in the entire show. Eventually, they manage to stop Cowbot, but instead of turning off the anti-gravity ray, they accidentally turn it into reverse. So then it's up to Knuckles and his ability to dig to save the day. This is a pretty good episode. It's going right above Multi-Tails, and with that, we're on to... In this episode, T.W. Barker opens up a new attraction called the Haunted Forest, and it turns out Eggman is super scared of ghosts. Which is funny considering that multiple times in the games he makes bases out of haunted pyramids. But speaking of haunted bases, Eggman's fortress gets haunted. So then, T.W. Barker makes a dirty deal with Eggman to get a hold of his lair so that he can have the ghosts instead of Eggman. Though of course it turns out that the ghosts weren't actually real and were actually just a trick by T.W. Barker to get Eggman's lair. To get his lair back, Eggman contacts Orbot and Cowbot.
I need you to delete my internet search history, but don't look at it!
And has them implant a virus that makes the robots attack their new owner, T.W. Barker. So then, in a reversal of T.W. Barker's deal with the fortress, Eggman makes a deal with T.W. Barker to get the fortress back so that the robots will no longer be attacking T.W. Barker. Then the music at the end when Eggman has all his robots back and is gonna go fight Sonic is really good.
Eggman's back in business, baby! You ready for a battle, Hedgehog?
This is a really fun episode. It's going right above Stix and Amy's excellent staycation, and with that, we're on to...
Losing our 80th consecutive battle makes me wonder if we're cutting the mustard.
In this episode, tired of always losing, the Lightning Bolt Society decide to rebrand as the Lightning Bowler Society and start bowling. And they're actually really good at it. They even end up beating Sonic's team. And it brings them lots of fame and endorsement deals. Tree Spy, or as his name is apparently the Chameleon, even shows off his riz. But they all end up having lots of infighting, mainly started by Stacey, Percy's twin, and they end up disbanding. But because of Sonic's competitive spirit and his ego being hurt by losing, he wants to get them back together. And they do end up getting back together, but they decide that bowling was driving them apart, and they want to be evil again because that brings them together as friends. So then they're back to being the Lightning Bolt Society. This is a really good episode. It's going right above that Metal Sonic episode, and with that, we're on to...
I can't believe this!
No way! I can't believe this!
In this episode, during a battle with Eggman, Team Sonic, Eggman, Orbot, and Cubot end up getting split into pairs of 2 in different rooms of the layer while it's on lockdown for 48 hours. This leads to some really fun character interactions.
Would a soulless scumbot be able to do this?
But Tails and Amy end up finding barrels of Mutonium, which if they don't stay cold, they'll explode. But while trying to find ways out, Sonic and Cubot end up turning off the lights, and Orbot and Stix end up turning off the air conditioning. In the end, Eggman, Tails, Orbot, and Cubot are able to use Morse code to communicate to each other through the walls. The music during this part is really fun. In the end, they're able to get the instructions across to Sonic on how to end the lockdown, so then they're all able to get out before it all explodes. This is a really fun episode with some nice character stuff. It's going right above Fiendbot, and with that, we're on to...
Sonic called me Mister. Then I got thrown out of Medburger with my tail between my legs. That's just an expression, of course. I had my vestigial tail removed years ago.
In this episode, it turns out that Eggman was actually missing a few credits and didn't really get his doctorate. Once the village finds out, there's a really fun musical number.
Have you heard about Mr. Eggman?
He's no longer a doc.
No way!
His degree is a prop.
Oh, word!
He was once feared a lot.
Sort
Now
of!
he's just a crackpot.
And now that Eggman's facing this humiliation, he decides to go back to college to finish getting his doctorate. So he goes and takes a class on evil, but he's not really doing so well. There's even a montage of him failing with some really fun music.
I say the montage right here. We're watching things happen now. Exposition fromage. So take the brakes off. Don't miss key plot points now.
Eventually, the only way Eggman will pass the class is if he passes the final test. And after a really fun and weird dream sequence,
Silly Eggman, rings are for hedgehogs.
Eggman decides to steal the test's answers. But the professor of the class realizes he did this. But it turns out, with it being a class on evil, stealing the answers was actually the correct answer, so Eggman passes. And now he's really officially Dr. Eggman. This is a really fun episode. It's going right below Brodown Showdown, and with that, we're on to...
What's up, Doc?
That's not even Sonic's catchphrase.
In this episode, while Sonic and Knuckles are having a race with some really good music, Steve and Eggman send him to a dimension where Sonic never existed. Then step 2 of their plan is for Steve to take Sonic's place so that no one knows he's gone. We never actually learn what the plan is after that because everyone sees right through Steve.
Sonic eating a salad. That's rich. Good one, Steve.
It's really funny how casually everyone in the village dismisses Steve. Meanwhile, in the other dimension, Eggman rules everything. And Sonic even gets arrested.
You have the right to Actually, you have no rights.
But after getting broken out by the Resistance led by Stix... Wait a minute, is this episode Sonic Forces? In the end, Sonic manages to unite the team in this dimension, and defeats this dimension's version of Eggman. With the team that can defeat Eggman assembled in that universe's version of Tails sends Sonic back to his dimension. This is a great episode, it's going right above Eggman's brother, and with that we're on to... Something about Eggman's rendering looks really off in this opening scene. In this episode, Eggman has all his Bee-Bots attack the village while he goes on vacation. And Team Sonic manages to catch all but one of the bees. And Tails invents the teleporters from the fly. And when he's testing it, a Bee-Bot flies in and he gets fused with a Bee-Bot.
This is good news. You can be a bee.
The Bee-Bot programming slowly turns him evil. And he releases the rest of the Bee-Bots so that they can attack the village. In the end, Sonic goes and gets Eggman so that Eggman can adjust the telepods so that the telepods can unfuse Tails and the Bee-Bot.
And I think we all learned a valuable lesson today.
And what lesson was that?
I don't know, don't turn into a bee or something?
This is a pretty good episode. It's going right above Mech Suits Me, and with that, we're on to...
What happens in Casino Night Zone stays in Casino Night Zone.
This episode opens with some more great music. If I haven't already made it very clear, I really like this show's soundtrack. I wish they would put it on like a CD or something that you could buy. In this episode, Eggman wants to make himself stronger so that he can fight Sonic and friends. So he shoots himself with dangerous purple rays. So now whenever he gets angry, he turns into, that thing. But he can undo the effects of the purple rays if he can avoid getting angry for 48 hours. Sonic decides to pick on Eggman and make him angry on purpose. But Eggman eventually gets his anger in check from group therapy with Amy and meditation with Og. But then when he's almost fully cured, this reoccurring character shows up at his lair to give him cookies because she saw how Sonic was treating him earlier. But then when she falls down the garbage chute, Eggman has to get angry again to save her. Technically in the episode we never actually see Eggman get cured, but since he gets angry in other episodes without transforming, I guess it's just implied that happens between episodes. This is a good episode. It's going right above Let's Play Musical Friends, and with that, we're on to... In this episode, while Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles are being reckless, they end up injuring this reoccurring walrus lady. So while she's recovering, they gotta watch her baby. They kinda suck at it at first, but eventually they get the hang of it. Also, at one point, they sing him a lullaby to the tune of Bop by Hanson.
Rockabye, baby, rockabye.
Speaking of music, I really like the montage music here. In the end, all is well as Lady Walrus recovers, but Tails' face doesn't move when he talks here at the very end.
Now it only works if he's in park.
Overall, it's a more low-stakes episode, but I really like it. It's going right above Eggman's brother, and with that, we're on to...
Good grief.
In this episode, Eggman gets one of those messages that says if you don't forward it to 3 people, you'll have bad luck forever. When he goes to forward the message, he realizes that he has no friends. So he goes out and tries to make some.
Hey, there's that rabbit girl. She's so hip and condescending. I'll bet she's got hundreds of friends.
He introduces the rabbit girl like she's someone we were supposed to know. Maybe she's this universe's version of Cream. Eventually, he gets Sonic to friend him on Friendspace. But after Eggman constantly messages Sonic about stuff he doesn't care about, Sonic ends up unfriending him. So despite Sonic, Eggman makes a new app called Scrambler, and it becomes the most popular app in the village. But Sonic's not able to use it. In the end, Eggman realizes that he still doesn't really have any friends, so he deletes the whole app to rage bait the village. This is a fun episode. It's going right above the evil Dr. Orbot, and with that, we're on to... In this episode, Eggman, Steve, Mombot, Cubot, and Orbot are all going on vacation to Roboken.
Which means we finally get a break from old Baldy McNose hair.
That line works a lot better here than it did in Sonic Colors, because here he says it with so much more confidence and composure, and it's also just one quick line rather than in Sonic Colors it being a whole scene. Eggman's generally not having a very good time on this vacation because, well, he's not a robot and there's just robot stuff in the robot city to do. But eventually, him and Steve come up with an evil plan. They steal Boltz's intelligence chip so that they can make one of their robots smart enough to defeat Sonic. This final battle has some super fun shots, and it's also really cool that Myton and the cyborg Sonic are back. And as if I even had to mention it, this fight has some more great music. The intelligence chip keeps passing between the different robots. Eventually, it ends up in Mombot. So then Eggman gives up the chip because he doesn't want any harm to come to Mombot. This is by far the best Mombot episode. And it's overall just a really good episode. It's going right above the Lightning Bowlers Society, and with that, we're on to... The opening song to this episode is actually really catchy.
Then I run out on the field. No one will I hear.
Also, did I ever mention that I really like the way Sonic's quills move in this show? In this episode, the rec center is getting shut down, and Eggman wants it because he wants a rec center all to himself for some reason. But ownership of the rec center can only be transferred through a soccer game. And since Eggman doesn't really have any soccer-playing robots, he goes to Roboken to mind control the cyborg Team Sonic with mind control wristbands. It's kind of crazy that this cyborg Sonic is in more episodes than the more famous Metal Sonic. When they do the practice soccer match, they realize that they're evenly matched. So to make his team stronger, Eggman turns the cyborgs into jocks. The music when he does this is pretty good. So then when the real match comes around, the cyborgs are totally defeating Sonic and friends. But Tails realizes that in turning them into jocks, they lost their creativity. So by coming up with outside-of-the-box ways to play, Team Sonic ends up winning. I really like the music during the last match. It gives me like Sega Genesis vibes. In the end, they destroy the mind control wristbands and everything is okay. This is a pretty good episode. It's going right above Mech Suits Me, and with that, we're on to... In this episode, we meet Defect from Sonic Boom Fire and Ice. It's kind of funny how they don't explain him or his backstory in this episode at all, they just kind of expect you to have played the game. Which, if you like this show, I would actually recommend. It's pretty fun and it feels kind of like playing an episode of the show. After Tails installs a voice chip in Defect, Defect wants to find meaning in life, but everything he tries isn't really working out for him. But after meeting the rejected cubots, he realizes he wants to protect them. But he also wants revenge, so he leads them in a revolt against Eggman. If I had a nickel for every time one of Eggman's robots turned on him, I would have a lot more than 2 nickels. But if I had a nickel for every time Defect turned on him, I would have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. After getting his revenge on Eggman, he decides he also wants revenge on the village for rejecting him. Then he channels his inner Anakin Skywalker from Star Wars 3, and there's some pretty good music too.
If you're not with me, you're against me.
And after a fight with Eggman's mech that he upgraded with telekinetic powers, Defect decides him and Sonic are even after Sonic saves one of the reject cubots from Eggman. This is a good episode, it's going right above Chain Letter, and with that we're on to... And now here we are, at the end. Not that the end of the show, we're at the last episode. It's a 2-part episode, and just like the last multiple-part episode, I'll be ranking both parts together. This episode opens with some really fun music. Also, the first battle with Eggman in this episode has some really great shots. In this episode, Eggman realizes that no one in the village likes him. So after someone makes a Futurama reference,
"Shut up and take my money!"
Eggman makes a video game to try and boost his image. But it doesn't really catch on.
Besides, everyone knows all the best games use motion capture.
That is so true. So Eggman records Team Sonic during a fight to get motion capture for their characters. But he needs to find someone strong enough to defeat Sonic to get motion capture for his character. So he decides to go get Shadow. To convince Shadow to fight Sonic, he rage baits him with a YTP.
Shadow? He is weak. That wind bag? Good. Never beat me. What a weak wind bag he is.
This Shadow battle has great cinematography and one of the best songs in the entire show. And part 1 ends with it looking like Sonic's defeated.
Think, Mark! What will you have after 5 years?
Now let's see how it all ends in part 2. That little laugh at the end sent me. Part 2 picks up right where part 1 left off, with Sonic and Shadow fighting. And while it's an amazing fight, it has kind of weird music. Like, the music's not bad, but it doesn't really feel like intense fight music. It's just kind of weird. Eventually, Shadow realizes that Eggman manipulated him, so he goes off to get revenge. To get away from Shadow, Eggman goes to another dimension and convinces that dimension's Eggman to go to his dimension. That Eggman then pulls out a not lightsaber and has a pretty good fight with Sonic, before eventually Sonic and Shadow chase Eggman into the other dimension, where they have a really good fight against Metal Sonic with some really fun cinematography. This fight also has much better music than the Sonic and Shadow fight from earlier. Metal Sonic is much stronger now because he has all the mocap data from Sonic and Shadow's fights. But eventually Team Sonic is able to defeat Metal Sonic, but then Shadow kinda randomly decides to escalate everything to destroying the universe instead of just getting revenge on Eggman. So he hides both Eggmen somewhere because just like in Too Good to Be True, having 2 of the same person in the same dimension for too long will cause a catastrophic anomaly that can destroy the universe. So everyone, even Vector, is looking for the Eggmen. Tails uses Metal Sonic's homing beacon to find Eggman. So then Sonic is able to save the day with a dimensional portal gun.
Well, there's always next season.
And then there wasn't next season. This was a really good episode, though Shadow just kind of deciding to destroy the universe at the end without real good motivation for it was kind of random. And while this episode had some of the best action in the show, I feel like it's sadly one of the less funny episodes. But overall, I feel like it's still really good. It's going right above It Takes a Village to Defeat a Hedgehog. And that's Sonic Boom. Overall, I feel like Season 2 was only a little bit better than Season 1. The characters moving more fluidly and expressively really did help a lot though. Overall, Sonic Boom was a really good show. It's a shame we'll probably never get a Season 3 though. But ranking this show was super hard because a lot of the episodes are very close together in quality. But now let's finally get on to the thing you've all been waiting for. Every episode of Sonic Boom ranked from worst to best. Knuck-Knuck, Who's Here? Guilt Tripping, Mombot, Unlucky Knuckles, Closed Door Policy, Buster, Chili Dog Day Afternoon, Do Not Disturb, The Sidekick, Curse of the Cross-Eyed Moose, Circus of Plunders, Muckfoot, No Robots Allowed, Sleeping Giant, Cabin Fever, Ogman Out, Insanity, Blue with Envy, Can an Evil Genius Crash on Your Couch for a Few Days, Let's Play Musical Friends, Don't Make Me Angry, My Fair Stixie, Late Fees, Dude Where's My Eggman, Nominatus Rising, Fortress of Squalitude, Role Models, Eggman Unplugged, Too Good to Be True, The Meteor, Cowbot, Eggman's Tomato Sauce, The Biggest Fan, Nutwork, How to Succeed in Evil Without Really Trying, Chez Amy, Into the Wilderness, Tommy Thunder Method Actor, Don't Judge Me, Battle of the Boy Bands, Eggman the Auteur, Aim Low, Fuzzy Puppy Buddies, Fleeing from Trouble, In the Midnight Hour, Strike, The Evil Dr. Orbot, Chain Letter, Return to Beyond the Valley of the Cubots, Fire in a Crowded Workshop, Mayor Knuckles, Knine-to-five Knuckles, Late Night War, Soul Power, Double Doomsday, I Can See Sonic Sphere from Here, Give Bees a Chance, 3 Minutes or Less, Unnamed Episode, Blackout, If You Build It, They Will Race, Designated Heroes, Tails' Crush, Just the Guy, Counterproductive, Beyond the Valley of the Cubots, Robot Employees, Stix and Amy's Excellent Staycation, Haunted Lair, Multi-Tails, Eggman's Anti-Gravity Ray, Mech Suits Me, Victory, You and I Become One, Mr. Eggman, Brodown Showdown, Translate This, Alone Again Unnaturally, Fiendbot, Layer on Lockdown, Eggman's Brother, 3 Men and My Baby, Where Have All the Sonics Gone, Eggheads, The Curse of the Buddy Buddy Temple, Return of the Buddy Buddy Temple of Doom, Hedgehog Day, Robot Battle Royale, It Wasn't Me, It Was the One-Armed Hedgehog, Lightning Bowler Society, Eggman Family Vacation, Anything You Can Do, I Can Do Worser, Planes, Trains, and Dude-Mobiles, New Year's Retribution, It Takes a Village to Defeat a Hedgehog, Eggman the Video Game, Vector Detector, Next Top Villain, Spacemagedon-ocalypse, Robots from the Sky. I had a lot of fun making this video, even though it did take forever. And I'm planning on making more big videos like this, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to comment down below what your favorite episode of Sonic Boom is, and I'll see you all next time.
Boost your speed.